Some true stories are so disturbing, so unsettling, that even after they're explained, they still don't make sense. This is not a horror movie. This is not a work of fiction. This is a real case, documented by police, recorded on video, and witnessed by hundreds of people. This is the terrifying true story of Elisa Lam. In January of 2013, Elisa Lam, a bright and adventurous 21-year-old student from British Columbia, Canada, embarked on a solo trip across the west coast of the United States. She was intelligent, creative, and passionate about travel, documenting her journey on her blog for her friends and family back home. Her posts were filled with observations about the cities she visited, the books she was reading, and her thoughts on life. To anyone following along, it seemed like a perfectly normal, exciting adventure for a young woman exploring the world. Her journey eventually led her to Los Angeles, the city of angels. On January 26th, she checked into a historic downtown hotel known as the Cecil Hotel. It was affordable, centrally located, and had a grand, old-world lobby that hinted at a glamorous past. What Elisa didn't know, and what most tourists wouldn't know, was that this particular hotel had one of the darkest and most notorious histories in all of America. Its hallways were steeped in tragedy and violence, a reputation it had earned over decades. For Elisa, it was just a place to stay for a few nights before continuing her trip. But this hotel would become the final stop on her journey. At first, everything seemed fine. Elisa posted photos, bought souvenirs for her family, and even tweeted about her experience. She was scheduled to check out on January 31st and head to her next destination, Santa Cruz. But that day came and went. Elisa never checked out. More alarmingly, her daily calls home to her parents in Canada suddenly stopped. This was completely out of character for the close-knit family. Her parents knew immediately that something was wrong. They reported her missing, and the Los Angeles Police Department began an investigation. The police started where she was last seen, the Cecil Hotel. But a search of her room turned up nothing unusual. Her belongings were still there, but Elisa was gone. Days went by, and the search expanded. Officers combed through the hotel, floor by floor. They searched rooms, stairwells, and public areas. They brought in search dogs, but the trail went cold. The dogs tracked her scent through the hotel, leading them to a window near a fire escape that accessed the rooftop. And then, it just vanished. It was as if she had simply disappeared into thin air. With no leads and growing public pressure, the LAPD made a decision that would turn this missing person case into a global phenomenon. On February 14th, nearly 2 weeks after she was last seen, they released a piece of evidence to the public, hoping someone might recognize her or have information. It was a security camera video from inside one of the hotel's elevators, recorded on February 1st. That video would become one of the most chilling and perplexing recordings ever released. The footage is just under 4 minutes long, silent, with a grainy, distorted quality. In it, Elisa Lam is seen entering the elevator. Her behavior is erratic and bizarre. She presses a whole panel of buttons, one after the other. But the elevator doors don't close. She steps out, peering cautiously down the hallway, first to the left, then to the right. She darts back into the elevator, pressing herself against the wall, as if hiding from someone. Then, she steps out again, standing just outside the doorway. She looks around, her arms moving in strange, unnatural gestures. At one point, her hands flutter, and she appears to be speaking to someone just out of the camera's view, someone who isn't there. She then walks away, disappearing down the hallway to the left. Only after she is gone do the elevator doors finally close, then open, then close again, as if the machine itself was malfunctioning. This was the last time Elisa Lam was ever seen alive. The video went viral, capturing the world's attention. Millions of people watched it, analyzed it, and debated it. Theories spread like wildfire. Was she being pursued by someone? Was she playing a strange game? Was she under the influence of something? Or was she experiencing a severe psychotic break? The footage was haunting, providing no answers, only more questions. Meanwhile, back at the Cecil Hotel, something else was happening. Weeks into Elisa's disappearance, guests started to complain. The water pressure in the rooms was unusually low. Some said the water tasted strange, with a sweet, almost sickening flavor. Others reported that when they turned on the tap, the water came out with a dark, murky color for a few moments, Before running clear, the complaints became so frequent that the hotel's maintenance staff was sent to investigate the source of the problem. Their attention turned to the rooftop, where 4 large water tanks supplied water to the hotel's guest rooms, kitchen, and coffee shop. On the morning of February 19th, a maintenance worker climbed a ladder to the roof to inspect the tanks. He noticed the hatch on one of the 1,000-gallon tanks was unlatched. He peered inside, into the dark water. That's when he made the gruesome discovery. Floating lifelessly inside the tank was the body of a young woman. It was Elisa Lam. She had been in the hotel's water supply for nearly 3 weeks, the very same water that guests had been drinking, brushing their teeth with, and showering in. The discovery was horrifying, but it also raised an immediate and baffling set of questions. The water tanks were located on the main roof of the 15-story hotel, an area that was supposed to be inaccessible to guests. The door to the roof was locked and alarmed. A fire escape led to the roof, but it would have been a difficult climb. The tanks themselves stood on a 5-foot-tall platform. To get to the top of the tank, one would have to climb another ladder bolted to the side. The opening to get inside was a heavy, metal hatch, around 20 inches in diameter. How did Elisa, alone and small in stature, get to the roof, climb the tank, lift the heavy lid, and get inside? And even more puzzling, the maintenance worker who found her stated that the lid was closed when he arrived. How could she have gotten inside and closed the heavy lid behind her? The coroner's report only deepened the mystery. The official cause of death was listed as accidental drowning. The toxicology report found no illegal drugs or alcohol in her system, only trace amounts of her prescribed medication for bipolar disorder, but not enough to suggest an overdose. There were no signs of physical trauma or assault. The case was officially closed, but for everyone who had followed the story, that explanation felt impossible. It raised far more questions than it answered. If it was an accident, how do you explain the series of seemingly impossible events that had to occur? No security footage showed her ever going to the roof. No witnesses saw her climbing the tanks. Her clothes were found in the tank with her body, which contradicted initial reports. They were found nearby, and the elevator video, the last record of her conscious moments, remained utterly inexplicable. Even seasoned detectives and experts admitted it. The case defies simple logic. To understand the unsettling atmosphere surrounding this case, you have to understand the Cecil Hotel itself. This was not just any hotel. Opened in 1927, it quickly became infamous. Over the years, it was linked to numerous unexplained deaths, violent crimes, and multiple suicides. It was a known temporary residence for at least 2 serial killers, including Night Stalker Richard Ramirez, who reportedly lived on the 14th floor during his murder spree in the 1980s. Guests have reported strange noises, ghostly apparitions in the hallways, and an overwhelming feeling of dread. The building seemed to have a life of its own, a dark energy that many believe contributed to its tragic legacy. Elisa Lam's case became the most famous and chilling chapter in the Cecil's dark history, cementing its reputation as one of America's most haunted locations. To this day, the death of Elisa Lam remains one of the most haunting and terrifying true stories ever documented. Was it a tragic accident? A perfect storm of circumstances that led a vulnerable young woman to a bizarre and lonely end? Was it the result of a severe mental health crisis, where her bipolar disorder caused a psychotic episode that led her to a place of perceived safety? Or, as many amateur sleuths and paranormal investigators believe, was it something far more sinister? Something that science and logic cannot explain. The elevator footage still haunts millions of people around the world. The unanswered questions continue to fuel speculation and debate. And the truth, whatever it may be, feels just as out of reach today as it did all those years ago. This was not a movie. This was not fiction. This was the true, strange story of Elisa Lam. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as compelling as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next dive into the unexplained.